Okay, great. Videos on, everyone. Everyone has the videos on. That's great. So शुरू करते हैं. Please open ice and rain protection system from your FCOMs. That is ATA chapter number 20. Okay. Go to ATA chapter number 20. Nikhil, is anything funny? Okay. So please open ATA chapter number 3030. Okay. That's about ice and rain protection system. If you open, Nikhil, you can mute. If you open it, you can see about 5 different subsections. Seven different subsections, right? How many subsections do you have in your FCOM? I have 7. Do you also have
Seven.
7? Great. So the first one is general description, right? And it talks about the general nature of the entire systems. It talks what is anti-icing, how is it conducted inside the aircraft, where all do we have the anti-icing systems in place, right? And then it talks about the different methods that we have for rain removal, right? What are the different methods that we have? We have the wipers, we have rain repellents. What are the different systems we have for anti-icing? We have electrical anti-icing in the probes. We have electrical anti-icing and de-icing in the windows, heating in the windows, right? We have anti-icing in the leading edge of the wings, and we also have anti-icing in the engine nacelle, right? So यही सारी चीज़ों के बारे में अलग अलग इन लोगों ने सब चैप्टर्स बना रखे हैं. अगर मैं एंटी आइस के बारे में बात करूं तो हमारे पास विंग एंटी आइस, इंजन एंटी आइस के पास उनके रिस्पेक्टिव सब चैप्टर्स हैं, which मैं जिसमें कुछ नहीं, description, controls and indicators, description, controls and indicators, fairly short. It's nothing, rocket science in there. Apart from that, we have heating systems. 2 things are heated, which is windows and probes. ठीक है. इसमें कुछ important चीज़ें, स्पेशली जो विंडोज़ हैं और प्रोब्स की उनकी हीटिंग की कैपेसिटी क्या है और वो कब कब हीटेड होते हैं, ये सारी चीज़ें आपको पता रहनी चाहिए. Apart from that, we have rain removal and ice detection system. Okay, that's about it. Let's start studying. Okay, I want all of you to go to the first section, which is general. Okay. So we have general. We have in general we have 30 to 10 description. उसमें हमारे पास 3 DUs हैं. We have general, anti-ice and rain removal. Okay. So in general, when we talk about ice protection and rain protection, so ice protection में we have anti-icing and window heating, probe heating, and rain protection के लिए हमारे पास बाकी का जो DU है वो है. So icing, anti-icing will, and heating will be the bigger portion of the chapter. Rain will be the smaller portion of the chapter. Okay, it's predominantly about ice protection, not about rain protection. The first DU tells you that क्या, how does it help you? Icing conditions और heavy rain में हम लोगों को बस help कर देता है. That's all it tells you. Nothing else, right? Talking about anti-ice. So first, I want to tell you how is this entire aircraft protected from ice and rain. Please have. I want you guys to read the anti-ice DU and then I want you guys to read the rain removal DU. ठीक है, उसमें एक डायग्राम है. So you have hot air and you have electrical heating, right? So this particular DU is telling us कि क्या क्या चीज़ें heated हैं. You have 3 outboard slats in each wing. So how many slats do we have? We have 5 slats. Out of these, 3 outboard slats are heated and engine air intakes are heated. These 2 things are heated pneumatically, which means they are heated using the pneumatic hot air from the engines. Great. Now we have cockpit windows, which are also heated. Cockpit windows are heated using electricity. ओके, कॉकपिट विंडोज़ की जो ग्लासेस होती हैं उनके बीच में थर्मल पेस्ट होती है जिसमें इलेक्ट्रिसिटी सप्लाई होने पे उनमें हीटिंग आती है. आपके आंखों के जो सामने वाला कांच रहता है, जो शीशा रहता है, उसको विंड शील्ड कहते हैं. जो राइट के दो रहते हैं उसको विंडोज कहते हैं, स्लाइडिंग विंडोज एंड फिक्स्ड विंडोज. Okay, then all the different air data sensors that are there. How many air data sensors do we have? We have the TAT probe, we have the pitot probe, static probe, and the angle of attack probe. ये सारे probes heated होते हैं. Not only this, the water drain mast. What is the water drain mast? The water drain mast, this is the aircraft, and यहाँ पे एक छोटू सा drain mast रहता है. ये आपके lavatory sinks इन सब से जो हवा रहता है उसको ड्रेन कर देता है यहाँ पे. ठीक है, नॉट फ्रॉम lavatories बट फ्रॉम sinks. सिंक की जो वाटर है उसको ड्रेन कर दिया जाता है, उसको इट इज थ्रोन आउटबोर्ड. Okay, there is in that drain mass there are two drains. There is a fuel drain and then there is a वाटर ड्रेन. वाटर ड्रेन इज बेसिकली जो सिंक से आता है, जो आप हैंड वॉश करते हो उससे जो हवा निकलती है, उससे जो पानी निकलता है वो बाहर फेंक दिया जाता है. बट जो चीज़ें आप फ्लश कर देते हो दैट इज कलेक्टेड इन अ वेस्ट टैंक. ओके, apart from this the windshield is protected from rain, which is shown in the next view. There is a particular diagram in the second view which in the anti-aging system. You may go through that. Done, right? Everyone turn your videos on. Let's go on to the next DU. The next DU talks about wing anti-ice. The next DU talks about wing anti-ice, right? So how do we achieve wing anti-ice? Now my first question to you is, can you use wing anti-ice with APU bleed? Where is this point written? Where is this point written? That you cannot use wing anti-ice with APU bleed. Ashmit?
Pneumatics.
Pneumatics? I don't think so. APU limitations. Okay, it's there in APU limitations. Okay, great. So how do we do wing anti-ice? We take the hot bleed air. Okay, from where do we take this hot bleed air? One second. So where is the bleed air for the APU for the wing anti-ice taken from? Again, we need pneumatic air, right? So where do we take it from? From the on-side engine bleed. So that means if you want to supply bleed air to the left wing, you take it from the left side, or you take it from the left engine, right? Similarly for the right wing. Easy. Now left wing anti-ice from the left. So now both sides, the valves are controlled by a single button. Now, what does this mean? जो left side का जो anti-ice valve है, which is this anti-ice valve. Similarly, इस side भी होगा. So you have this fuselage, and you have the two wings, and then you have this engine. तो इंजन से जो न्यूमेटिक वाली हवा है वो यहाँ जाती है और वो आउटबोर्ड जाती है. तो इसके अंदर दो स्लैट हैं, बाहर तीन स्लैट हैं. तो ये जो तीन वाले स्लैट्स हैं ना, ये हीटेड होते हैं. तो यहाँ पे एक वाल्व होता है. अब यहाँ पे भी वाल्व है, लेफ्ट साइड राइट साइड दोनों साइड वाल्व है. दोनों साइड के वाल्व एक ही बटन से कंट्रोल होते हैं, विच इज दी विंग लाइट ऑन द एंटी आइस पैनल विच इज ऑन द लेफ्ट हैंड साइड. यहाँ पे एक लाइन रहता है, राइट. यहाँ पे एंटी आइस वाले बटन भी है हमारे पास. इजी. सो एक वाल्व, एक बटन, दो वाल्व. ना कुछ रेड में इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स हैं. In case of a leak, this valve auto closes because सबसे ज़्यादा highest bleed usage APU wing anti-ice की ही है. That is why APU से हम लोग उसको यूज ही नहीं करते. निखिल, अनिरुद्ध, are your videos on? Okay, okay. Now both the side valves we have done this. So auto close in the case of a leak. In the case of any electrical failure, द फेल सेफ पोजीशन इज क्लोज, कुछ भी हो, चाहे वो एक लीक हो, चाहे वो इलेक्ट्रिकल फेलियर हो, द वाल्व विल ऑटो क्लोज, बट मेक श्योर ये जो एंटी एस विंग एंटी एस है ये ऑटो क्लोज हो जाता है। इंजन एंटी एस इज उल्टा, वो ऑटो में ओपन रहता है। ओके, कोई डाउट? ना, दैट वाज वन क्वेश्चन, कैन यू यूज APU for wing anti-ice? No. Can you use APU for, so can you use anti-ice, wing anti-ice on the ground? No. That is also something that you cannot do. If you put the wing anti-ice on the ground, तो वो बस एक 30 seconds के लिए उसको टेस्ट करता है, that is it. That is it. Now, having said that, जो तुम्हारा इंजन वार्निंग डिस्प्ले है, यहाँ पे तुम्हारे पास N1 के पैरामीटर्स आते हैं, राइट? और यहाँ पे N1 की लिमिट आती है टॉप राइट हैंड साइड में। जब आप एंटी आइस ऑन करते हो तो जो N1 की जो लिमिट है ये नीचे हो जाती है, बिकॉज EGT बढ़ जाता है, और जो N1 का जो एक्चुअल थ्रस्ट है वो बढ़ जाता है। सो व्हाट यू डूइंग इज, लेट्स से दिस इज द इंजन थ्रस्ट, लेट्स से दिस इज द इंजन थ्रस्ट, ओके, ये इंजन का थ्रस्ट बढ़ के इधर आ जाएगा। क्यों? बिकॉज नाउ इट इंजन हैज टू work harder to supply bleed air to the wings. Okay, now because the EGT is also increasing, the limit will come down. Okay, great. Talking about these lights over here, अगर मैं इसकी controls and indicators में बात करूँ, you can go to the next view. We're done with description. We're done with description. Description के बाद एक diagram भी है, वो diagram मैं यहाँ पे आपको explain कर चुका हूँ, right? Let's explain this diagram to you a little bit. So whenever you turn this on, सबसे पहले जब आप इसको on करोगे तो एक ground और flight का logic है। अगर flight वाला logic है it's connecting via this, ground वाला logic है तो it's connecting via this। अगर ground वाला logic है then it's only a 30-second test। अगर flight वाला logic है then there is no 30-second test, it will simply open। Very simple, no rocket science। Okay, great। Anti-ice में यहाँ पे दो चीज़ें, fault and on। ये on आएगा कैन कलर में आएगा, लाइट ब्लू कलर में आएगा। अदरवाइज यहाँ पे जो आपके पास फॉल्ट लाइट है ये कब आएगी? देयर आर थ्री कंडीशंस इन व्हिच दिस फॉल्ट लाइट विल कम ऑन। व्हेन you have turned this thing on and the pressure, the pneumatic is low. Next, when the valve is in transit, तो जब आप इंजन एंटी एस valve को डालोगे तो वो फॉर अ स्प्लिट सेकंड फॉल्ट लाइट आती है, या फिर कभी एक इलेक्ट्रिकल ट्रांजिट होता है तब होता है, या फिर valve is not in the required position. So this is a valve disagree। ये इसका मतलब क्या होता है? valve disagree। So let's say तुमने on किया तो यहाँ पे on selected है, तुमने कैन में आ गया, लेकिन अब एक कमांड जाएगा वाल्व को कि भाई वाल्व खुल जा सिम, बट वो वाल्व खुले ही नहीं, वाल्व इज स्टक इन द क्लोज्ड पोजीशन, देन इन दैट केस दिस फॉल्ट लाइट विल कम। सो अ वाल्व डिसएग्री, a valve in transit, and low pressure, these are the three cases in which the wing anti-ice fault light will come on। It is different for the from engine anti-ice। Any doubts? Go on to the next DU, which is controls and indicators, and it says the same. Whenever you turn this thing on, wing anti-ice as an ECAM memo comes on in green on the engine warning display. You may go through the two DUs that I have told you and ask me doubts. एक सेकंड, आज का क्वेश्चन अगेन। यस, यार ये मैं चेक करके बताऊंगा कि वो ऑन लाइट जली जाएगी कि नहीं। As per the procedure, we are never supposed to do it on ground. However, I will check it and I will let you know. However, the valve will not remain on. Okay. However, the valve will not remain on. Okay, maybe yes, it will come on, but as per what the FCOM says, it will come on, but the valve will not remain on. Okay, you can also look at the engine warning display and the cam memos. And once you're done with that, we can go on to the next portion. Done? Great. So the next portion that we're going to study is engine anti-ice, right? So talking about engine anti-ice base, uh, the nacelle of the engine is heated. Now, what is the nacelle? Which portion? The front part portion of the nacelle. So it's this area. This area of the engine is always silver in color. You know why? It's never painted. Paint is an insulator. So let's say the insides of the metal is being heated, with hot air, and that heat has to be conducted through this metal outside to the ice for it to melt, right? Now, it will only happen if there's no paint. Paint acts as an insulator. Okay. Now, the same bleed air which was supplying the air conditioning packs is being supplied to the wing anti-ice. Correct? Now, engine anti-ice is not so. Engine anti-ice has its own separate tapping from the HP valve. Okay, it has its own separate tapping from the HP valve. Having said that, the engine nacelle is heated. Now, this bleed air, it is taken from a separate bleed source. It's not the same bleed air which is supplied to the packs. You know why? We want this bleed source to be completely independent, whether any of your pneumatic air is working or not. ये ऐसी जगह से लिया जाता है कि भाई यहाँ से हवा आनी बंद होगी, तो विंग इंजन एंटी एज तो कभी बंद होगा नहीं ऐसा. ठीक है, मान लो अब तुम्हारे दोनों एयरक्राफ्ट के ब्लीड एयर वाल्व बंद हो गए, लीक आ गया, तो विंग एंटी एज तो तुम्हारे पास है ही नहीं, तुम आइसिंग कंडीशन में घुस गए, तुम्हारी तो लंका लग गई. So we do not want that, right? Since we do not want that, we have taken this from a separate bleed source. Okay, where from? We've taken it from here. Now again, you will see two MSNs over here. You will see the CEO aircraft, which is the IE aircraft, and you will see the NEO aircraft. In both of these two different aircrafts, ये जो दो valves है ना, ये थोड़े अलग हो जाए. Now ये जो दो valves हैं, these are pressure reducing valves. ये कहाँ से टैपिंग दी जाती है? HP स्टेज. वहाँ पे आपने देखा एचपी स्टेज कहाँ कहाँ पे, फिफ्थ एंड नाइन्थ स्टेज या फोर्थ एंड टेंथ स्टेज. अगर सीओ इंजन से, तो दी प्रेशर टैपिंग्स are from IP stage, which is fifth stage and ninth stage. For the purpose of new engines, it's from fourth and tenth stage, right? और ये जो दो valves है, which is known as the engine anti-ice valves, they also act as pressure reducing valves. ये कंट्रोल होते हैं फेडेक्स से. इनका ब्लीड मॉनिटरिंग कंप्यूटर से कोई लेना देना, which tells you engine anti-ice is a function of the engines. It is not a function of the pneumatics. Okay, so now it is controlled via a control valve, which is this, which is controlled by one push button each for each engine. This is unlike the wing anti-ice. There is one push button for the left side, one push button for the right side. Easy. When are you supposed to take engine anti-ice on? When you are in icing conditions, right? What is the definition of icing conditions? This is a homework for you. It is there present in the limitations chapter of ice and rain protection. इसके ऊपर बहुत क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. ओके, आइसिंग कंडीशंस को लेके. Now again, please pay attention to this point. It auto closes if you do not have enough pressure, which is the same thing as wing anti-ice, which is the same thing as wing anti-ice. However, as I told you, there's a difference. In the case of an electric failure, it is in fail safe open place, which means, let's say in the case of a total electrical loss, let's say you are in the EMER elect configuration, the engine anti-ice valve will get open automatically. Okay, the engine anti-ice valve will get open automatically. Now, again, whenever you take any anti-ice, the engine idle will go up and the limits will go down. Okay, because the engine has to produce more thrust because now you're using more of that air and you're supplying it to the engines, right? Now, this entire air is exhausted from the bottom of the nacelle. यहाँ पे तीन ऐसे छेद रहते हैं, वहां से हवा निकलती है. अगर आप नीचे बेंड करोगे एक्सटीरियर वॉक अराउंड करते समय तो आपको दिख भी जाएगा. ओके, ये आपका कंट्रोल इंडिकेटर पैनल है, control panel basically. Again, you have fault lights and you have on lights which function exactly the same as how we studied it in wing anti-ice. Talking about controls, when does the fault light come on? Again, valve position disagree and low pressure. Valve transit test से कोई लेना. Clear? This is all about engine anti-ice. You may go through the DUs. You may go through the DUs. Let me know if you have any doubt. हाँ, so आपका क्या डाउट है नियो में?
टू प्रेशर रेगुलेटेड सेट ऑफ वाल्व है.
हाँ जी, सीओ में
तो
एक है.
सर इसमें नहीं समझा.
सीओ में एक है.
मतलब एक इंजन में दो है.
हाँ, एक इंजन में दो है. सो इफ यू ओपन इट, सो यू हैव वन इंजन एंटी आइस वाल्व, ठीक है, इन द सीओस, दैट्स ओनली वन. ठीक है. So if you read the CO वाले MSNs, it says air is supplied through a two position open or closed valve that the flight crew controls with the push button. ठीक है. Now if we go to the new MSNs, it says two pressure regulated and shut off valves enable the flow of breath air. So here pressure regulation is done as well as shut off valve. So दो ऐसे valves हैं यहाँ पे, एक pressure regulation के लिए है और एक shut off के लिए. Okay, कोई doubt? Let's Now let's go to the next portion, which is Windows and ProHeat. Now, this entire portion, especially the Windows and ProHeat, you may lower your hands. This entire portion, Windows and ProHeat, is the trickiest portion of this chapter. Let me make this very clear to you guys. It is the trickiest portion of this chapter. Let's go on to window heat. Okay, let's go on to window heat. सब आ गए विंडो हीट पे? ठीक है. क्या क्या ड्यूज है विंडो हीट के अंदर? Which is 30-40. We have description, controls and indicators, and we have probes, description and controls and indicators, right? Right. अगर आप ध्यान से देखो तो यार दोनों में एक डी ही है और एक controls and indicators का नाम. There is only 3 pages that you have to study, but you know if you actually go there, there is a ton of information in this entire page. इसमें से questions काफी confusing पूछे जा सकते हैं. Okay, remember when the starting of this chapter I told you that there are three things. There is a windshield, there is a window, which is a sliding window, and there is a fixed window. हम लोग ये वैसे डीओ को बस ऊपर ऊपर से पढ़ लेते हैं, but you need to understand that there is a difference between the windshield and the window, and there is a difference between the windshield heating and the window heating. Okay, so जब इसके क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं तो यही कंफ्यूजन में आपको घुसाया जाता है. Okay, next, when we are talking about probes, there are 4 different probes. Go to the probe heating system wala D, which is 30-50, which is 30-50-10. So let's study all of these probes and windows. I'm going to teach both of these to you in one single section. Okay, pay very close attention. Talking about heating control. Who controls the heating? Okay, if you're talking about windows, you have WHCs. If you're talking about probes, there is PHCs. Probe heat computer, window heat computer. Very simple. But how many? How many? How many windows do we have? How many sides do we have? Two. So we have one each side. One for each side. So one WHC controls one windshield, one sliding window, and one fixed window. Another WHC controls windshield, right hand side sliding window, right hand side fixed window. Then we have three probe heating computers, one for each, which means one for captains, one for first officer, one for standby probes, right? Very simple. Now, there are different phases of flight. In these different phases of flight, different probes are heated at different times. Different probes are heated at different times. Okay. Before starting engines, after starting one engine on the ground, an engine started or it is in flight. But of course, if your engines have started, you cannot have, हमारे इंजन ऑफ फ्लाइट में नहीं हो सकते और तुम कंसिडर भी नहीं करोगे कि यार इन नॉर्मल कंडीशंस अगर तुम फ्लाइट में तुम्हारा एक इंजन ऑफ है, अगर तुम्हारा नॉर्मल फ्लाइट में और एक इंजन ऑफ है, तब भी तुम यही वाला सेक्शन आप रन करोगे, ठीक है, फॉर द लॉजिक पर्पस. नाउ व्हेन यू आर ऑन द ग्राउंड, व्हेन यू आर पार्क्ड ऑन द रैम्प, your aircraft is electrically supplied by the APU and the APU bleed. Then, before you're starting the engines, none of the probes are supplied. It is only supplied when the probe or the window heat is on. Okay. Okay. Any doubts? Not even the pitot, not even the pitot, not even the static. None of the probes are heated. Only and only one thing is heated, which is the windshield. Okay. कोई डाउट? ओके, ध्यान से देखो. अब हमारे पास है चार प्रोब्स: पिटोट, स्टैटिक, एंगल ऑफ अटैक एंड ट्रैक्ट. अब इन चारों प्रोब्स में से आप ग्राउंड पे किन किन को हीट करोगे अगर आपका कोई भी एक इंजन स्टार्ट हो गया? सी, on the ground it is only heated if the engine is started. So now I ask you the question again. Let's say, Ashwin, you're on the ground. You have these probes. Which four out of these four probes, which probes will you heat on the ground provided an engine is running? If the engine is not running, you will the probes will not automatically be heated, right? That's the logical answer. You know, for example, if the aircraft is parked with the APU on, let's say there's some maintenance going on, you want the probes to be heated. Passengers deboard कर रहे हैं, चाहते probes heated में, फालतू का time waste, right? So what do you want? Now let's say one engine is started. Would you heat the pitot probe? Yes. Would you heat the static probe? No problems. You would heat the angle of attack, okay, but you would never heat the tat probe. टेम्परेचर ही सेंस कर रहा है, उसको थोड़ी ना हीट करेंगे. लॉजिकल है ना. और हवा में तो भाई सारे हीट होंगे, ठीक है. सो ऑन ग्राउंड nothing is heated if the engines are off. On ground, if one engine is started, all probes are heated except that probe. In air, of course, all probes are heated. Now, two catches that you need to remember. The pitot probe has two levels, low and normal. Low on the ground, normal in the air. That not heated on the ground, heated in the flight. याद रहेगा? Simple. Now, let's say you are not heating these probes. There should be a way to heat them on the ground. Yes. So we have a probe window heat button. If you put it on light will come on in cyan color, and then this thing is heated. Not only this, it's a probe slash window heat. So window heat is automated, ऑटोमेटिकली गेट्स एक्टिवेटेड। ऑफ कोर्स सी बात है, तुम अगर प्रोब्स हीट कर रहे हो तो विंडोज को भी हीट करोगे, राइट? नाउ you are talk now let's talk about WHC's window heating system. Okay, see, windshield is one thing which is always heated. जैसे पिटोट में लो और नॉर्मल था, यहाँ पर अगर आप इंजन, सिमिलरली यहाँ पे भी लो और हाई है। हाई when you are in flight, so even when you are on ground, no, you touch the windshield, it's hot, it's hot. When you are in, you know, outside, आपको टेम्परेचर बता रहा है -50 डिग्री सेल्सियस, बट at that point even if you touch your side window, it's hot in the air. Okay, but that is about windows. So windows also follow the same logic. Windows are these things on the side. If you are on ground without engines running, they are not heated. Once the engines are running, they are heated. Windshield follows the same logic as the petrol pro. Any doubts so far? Okay, questions will get asked on low high, low normal, and tack.
भैया वन
Otherwise,
क्वेश्चन।
otherwise this logic is pretty straightforward. If the engines are off, nothing is heated except a button, except when a button is on. Okay, any doubts? On ground अगर both
तब
engines running है तब, हाँ बताइए।
तो फिर हम टीआरटी प्रॉप को हीट करेंगे तब भी नहीं करेंगे बोथ इंजन्स की केस में।
प्लीज कम अगेन।
जैसे बोथ इंजन्स रनिंग है, अभी आपने सिंगल इंजन का बताया था कि टीआरटी की जरूरत नहीं है।
It's
अगर बोथ
TAT, it's AT, okay, TAT, total
सॉरी
air temperature.
सॉरी,
Okay,
तो टीएटी प्रॉप को हम बोथ इंजन्स में हीट करेंगे या नहीं, उसमें भी नहीं
okay, नहीं करेंगे। TAT is not heated on the
ग्राउंड।
ground. Okay, जो आप देख रहे हो, go to probes heat, go to probes heट and read the last line. Okay, probes heat 30, 20, 30, 50, 10, read the last line. Okay,
ओके।
okay. Every time you have an automatic function, यहाँ पे auto लिखा रहेगा right hand side.
मेरा ईमेल भी अगर हम टीएटी को अगर हम हीट करते हैं तो उसमें डिफरेंस नहीं आता कुछ टेम्परेचर
No,
में।
no, no. It is catered for. The window is catered. The probe is catered for it. Okay. The probe is catered for it. Okay. Let me know once done. Ask it again. वापस पूछ ले. It's recording now.
और मैं पूछ रहा था भैया ये प्रोब हीट या तो विंडो हीट वगैरह का मतलब इंडिकेशंस तो नहीं आते, मतलब कैसे पता चलता है कि इस हीटिंग के लिए हम कब और क्या, जैसे बेसिकली अगर इंजन का भी अगर हम लोग देखते हैं ना नेसेल हीट का,
जी.
तो उसके इंडिकेशंस कैसे मिलता है हमें कि आइसिंग हो गई और वी नीड टू
As in on the ground.
इन एयर।
In air. Okay. Very good question that you asked. ये हम लोग देखेंगे आइस डिटेक्शन सिस्टम, जो लास्ट वाला पोर्शन है ना, आइस डिटेक्शन सिस्टम है. Okay. Shall I continue? Let's go on to the next deal. Let's talk about. So you also read the probe and window heat from the overhead panel, the controls and indicators, right? There's really nothing much of it. Okay. So now let's talk about rain removal. There are two things for your rain removal. Okay. Firstly, you have the wipers. What is the maximum speed to operate the wipers? Subal,
इट्स 250 नॉट्स।
please go and check it. Please read your limitations. It's not 250 knots. Okay. Please go and read your limitations. नाउ विंडशील्ड के ऊपर ही वाइपर रहता है, विंडोज पे नहीं रहता. ठीक है. देर आर टू स्पीड्स, देर आर predominantly two speeds. There are two wipers, one for each windshield, and they operate at two speeds, which is controlled by this manual. Okay, so there is a rain repellent. Again, this is an if installed thing. Wipers, of course, you need it. So you have slow and fast. Intermittent is something which is an if installed thing. ओके, सो रेन रिपेलेंट एक सोलेनॉइड को पावर करता है. रेन रिपेलेंट सोलेनॉइड को पावर करता है. ये रेन रिपेलेंट की आपके पास यहाँ पे एक बॉटल होती है. यू बिफोर यू प्रोसीड फॉर योर वॉक अराउंड यू आर सपोज टू चेक द रेन रिपेलेंट क्वांटिटी. Where is this rain repellent bottle placed? Inside an aircraft. I will show it to you right. Look at this image. Okay, look at this image. This is I do not have the 360 view wala website loading right now. Otherwise, I would have shown it to you. Uh, as you can see, you enter the A320 aircraft on the left hand side, the wall on the left hand side. ये वो वाली वाली यहाँ पे वो गेज है. आप देखते हो कि ये गेज जो है ना, ये वाला पोर्शन जहाँ पे आपको दिख रहा है मेरा कर्सर, ये ग्रीन में होना चाहिए. ओके, दैट इज व्हाट यू चेक प्रायर टू योर फ्लाइट. एनी डाउट्स? इट्स अ टॉक्सिक सब्सटेंस. इट्स अ टॉक्सिक सब्सटेंस. ठीक है, so it's never supposed to be ingested or something. ठीक है. And how do you correctly operate the rain repellent? Do you like push or push? No, you spray it continuously for 30 seconds. You spray it continuously for 30 seconds and that will be good. Okay, so from medium to heavy rain, one rain repellent bottle is there that sprays rain repellent and it's really good. मतलब तुमने अगर एक बार rain repellent डाल दिया तो तुमको फिर वाइपर्स चलाने की भी जरूरत. Now, for some smart asses who would spray the rain repellent on the ground when the aircraft is parking, it is inhibited. Okay, that's about. Lastly, you can go to the next DO, which is the ice detection DO. Okay, see there are two different types of ice detection systems. There is a visual ice detection system. Okay, so in front of the cockpit, you see this. In front of the cockpit, you see this दोनों कैप्टन फर्स्ट ऑफिसर के बीच की वाली लाइन. इसके सामने ना एक ये छोटू सा ऐसा सा विजुअल आइस इंडिकेटर लगा रहता है. इसके अंदर थोड़े 4-5 ऐसे होल्स रहते हैं जिसके अंदर से लाइट निकलती है, मतलब एक बत्ती रहती है. इन द कॉकपिट यू हैव अ आइस and standby compass light. You have an ice and standby compass light. Okay, it's on the lights panel. I'll show it to you. अगर आप उसको ऑन करोगे तो इसमें से बत्ती जलेगी. If you can see the batti, that means there is no ice. But if you cannot see the light, that means yes, there is ice accretion. Apart from this, on the lower section of the fuselage also, you have these kind of ice detectors. This shape. These kind of ice detectors. ठीक है, तो ये काम कैसे करते हैं? अगर इनके ऊपर आइस होती है तो उनको पता चल जाता है. कैसे पता चलता है? मे बी और रोजमर्रा आइस डिटेक्शन सिस्टम्स होते हैं. कई बार वो टेम्परेचर सेंसिंग होते हैं, कई बार वो हो सकता है कि ऑक्सफोर्ड में ना ये आइस डिटेक्शन सिस्टम्स के बारे में बहुत कुछ लिखा हुआ है. अलग अलग टाइप के आइस डिटेक्शन सिस्टम होते हैं. सो लेट्स से ये वाला जो आइस डिटेक्शन सिस्टम है ऐसा, तो हो सकता है इसकी जो एक रेजोनेटिंग फ्रीक्वेंसी होगी एक पर्टिकुलर फ्रीक्वेंसी पे वाइब्रेट करता है, लेकिन इसके ऊपर अगर आइस आती तो उसकी नेचुरल फ्रीक्वेंसी चेंज हो जाती है. सो देर आर अ नंबर ऑफ वेज बाय विच यू कैन मेजर इट. कई बार ऐसा होता है कि यार एक छोटू सा प्रोब निकाल के अगर उसमें छोटी सी छेद कर दो, अगर यहाँ आइस जम गया तो इसके थ्रू हवा पास नहीं होगी, अलार्म बज जाएगा. अगर हवा पास हो रही है उस छोटे से होल के थ्रू तो अलार्म नहीं बजेगा. ऐसे इंडिकेटर्स भी रहते हैं. सो जब ये इलेक्ट्रॉनिक वाले इंडिकेटर्स है ना तो आपको आइस का एक अलर्ट भी आ जाता है. ओके, now sometimes when you select wing anti-ice or when you select engine anti-ice and after 195 seconds the system detects that there was no icing, तो वो एक ईकैम मेमो भी देता है, आइस नॉट डिटेक्टेड. ओके, 195 seconds. That is all about this chapter.